All right.
Yo.
Coming to you live from Philly. It's the number one rated Paulie Tony Fusco Show.
Yo.
As always, Paulie Fusco here with Tony Fusco and Tony.
Yo.
Huge show today.
Huge. Let's go.
Unlike the last show, which we're going to try and totally forget about, so.
What? I don't even remember.
Exactly. Anyway, all right, on this note, people, these morons, they keep coming up to us, Tony, and they say, why do you put your show out on Thursday?
Oh.
Why not Monday after the game? And
Morons.
You know what? Yeah, you know what that shows? Is that people don't understand what actually happened in the game.
Exactly.
They're confused. So they need us to explain it to them. It's pathetic,
Yeah, people can't think for themselves these days, which, is great for this show because we just get huge ratings out of that. But frankly, a real problem point for our society as a whole.
Just beautifully said that, Tony. And
Thank you.
well, on that note, on today's show, we're going to shut down these morons who are complaining that Jalen Hurts isn't passing enough. Idiots. And we're going to react to this Cowboys signing Jadaveon Clowney to replace Micah Parsons. Explain it all for you. It'll make total sense. And, well, we're also going to do something. It's a major change for the show, Tony. With the news that Molly Qerim is leaving First Take. Well, people, they're wondering how that show's going to go on without her,
Yeah.
And Tony, it made us realize we may be, behind the times here,
Yeah, maybe.
Because, usually we're on the forefront of sports television, as you know,
That's true.
pioneers in this industry.
Yeah, of course.
But we don't, unlike these other shows, we don't have a female co-host, to set up the stories
we
and all
don't.
that. So later in the show, we are going to be holding auditions for a female co-host.
Yup.
And, I don't want to preview too much, but I've heard we've got some very beautiful, sexy, but more importantly, informed.
Intelligent.
Women.
Yeah.
Yes, very intelligent women lined
Absolutely.
up,
And, at the risk of sounding grandiose, this is just such a huge step forward for not just the show, but for women, too.
Absolutely. And, you talk about a huge step forward for the show, Tony. Well, what about a step backwards? Because that's what all these stupid algorithms out there are doing with their bots and their whatnot, trying to hide our content. Well,
Ridiculous.
If you out there want the robots to take over, and you become the human slave. Well, that's
on
your
you.
problem.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you don't want that, like most people, what you do is you hit like, okay? You hit subscribe, you rate and review on Apple Podcasts, and you show these robots they're not going to win. No.
Exactly. And, except for the Roombas, they are one of the few robots that actually do help humanity.
Right, except for the Roombas. Anyway, all right,
we
a
like
lot to
them.
get to, so let's get right into our top story.
Top story.
All right, first out the gate, despite the win over KC, we got these people, morons, once again coming after Jalen Hurts because he only threw for 101 yards in the game. They say he's not throwing the ball enough. Exactly.
Stupid.
Tony, when you break this down, you gotta like this approach from the Eagles, don't you?
Absolutely. What do we always say in sports? You gotta get back
to the fundamentals. Yup.
Exactly. And the Eagles are following the fundamentals of football in the 20s.
Yup.
Well, not the 2020s, but the 1920s. Nobody passed the ball back then. Just go back and look at the film.
Yup.
The 8 seconds of the film that still exists somewhere and wasn't destroyed in a warehouse fire.
Yup.
But, the Eagles and Jalen Hurts are playing the game as it was meant to be played.
Just terrific football and also historical analysis that, Tony. And, when you even think about it, why would you ever throw a football? It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. And what do we always say? You gotta protect
the football. Yup.
Exactly. Well, why would you throw something that you were trying to protect? Would you throw a baby? No. Of course. Would you throw, your pet hamster? No. Of course, unless it tried to bite you, I guess. But when is a football ever going to try and bite you?
Never.
You see, never. When you break it down, throwing the football is just a dumb idea.
All valid points all around there, Tony. And, well, let's move to the Cowboys, who made yet another stunning move. This time to fill the hole at linebacker left by Micah Parsons. The team signed 32-year-old pass rusher Jadaveon Clowney. Now, this has left many people stunned, even confused by this move. But, Tony, you've got some inside information on what went down. Tell the people.
My sources inside the team tell me this was all a misunderstanding. Last week, Cowboys head coach Brian Schottenheimer was in a team meeting looking at who they could add to fix their crappy defensive roster and reportedly said, only JC can save us now. Now, he was clearly referring to Jesus Christ, but since Jerry Jones is so old and so demented, he thought JC meant Jadaveon Clowney.
Yup.
Although by my analysis, not even Jesus Christ could save the Cowboys' defense.
Totally agree, Tony. Just great insight and also reporting there. But, when you look at it, though, Jadaveon Clowney is, in a way, a perfect fit for the Cowboys, right?
Absolutely. I mean, like the Cowboys themselves, Jadaveon Clowney was good 11 years ago. So he's at the right point of total deterioration to fit perfectly on this Cowboys roster.
Yep, terrific breakdown there, Tony. And, well, let's move to this controversy in the NFL. People, they're up in arms over Tom Brady. He's a minority owner now with the Raiders.
Yeah.
And then they saw him in the broadcast the other day, wearing a headset and sitting in the Raiders coaching booth.
Yeah.
And they say because, he's also doing the games for Fox and getting this inside info because he's meeting with the players and coaches. Well, they say this gives the Raiders an unfair competitive advantage. But, Tony, these people, they're just totally missing the point again, aren't they?
Exactly. If we want to preserve the competitive balance in the NFL, don't you think we should give the Raiders an unfair competitive advantage? I mean, after 20 years of straight sucking, I think they should get the other team's playbook. And also some of the other team's players, too. Just to keep it balanced. Like the Raiders play the Commanders this week. If Jaden Daniels starts, then the NFL should let Marcus Mariota start in place of Geno Smith. Just to keep it fair.
Just to keep it fair,
of course.
That's it. And, people don't realize this because they're dumb. But
so dumb.
Why do you think all these TV networks are going out and hiring all these ex-Dallas Cowboy players to do their broadcasting, right? You got Romo, you got Aikman, you got Moose Johnson. It's because what the NFL clearly wants is to get these Cowboys to go out and get the team secrets and then share them with the current Dallas Cowboys so they can stop sucking. It's so clear.
Exactly. It's all about preserving the competitive balance.
Exactly. Anyway, talking about that, Tony, great transition by you. Big news out of Minnesota this week where it looks like Carson Wentz is going to get the start in place of the injured J.J. McCarthy.
Wow.
And Tony, this is just a huge leap forward for the Vikings, isn't it?
100%. What do we all know is the measure of any great QB?
Super Bowl wins.
Of course. Exactly. And Carson Wentz got his ring in 2017 with the Eagles, as we all remember. And as it's clearly listed on his Wikipedia page in the section on the right side of the screen, right under his picture. So now I went ahead and updated my list of all-time Vikings QBs. And right now, I have Carson Wentz listed as number 4 all-time, behind number 1, Brett Favre. Number 2, Jim McMahon.
Obviously.
And number 3, Brad Johnson. All impressive Vikings Super Bowl winners.
Just a lot of great moments there in team history. And, now we got to get to some baseball here, Tony. A lot of people, they're saying Aaron Judge is going to win AL MVP over Cal Raleigh because his batting average is 80 points higher, whatever.
So?
Exactly. Tony, these idiots are totally missing the point there, aren't they?
Totally. You have to consider what's most valuable. Well, obviously, that's the catcher. If the catcher wasn't there to catch the pitches would just go flying into the backstop. It would be total mayhem. And the first baseman, the second baseman can always just run over and cover first base, making the first baseman totally useless. You don't even need a first baseman, come to think of it. That's why my MVPs are in the AL, Cal Raleigh, and in the NL, JT Realmuto.
Just a slam dunk argument all around that, Tony.
Thank you.
Well, now it's almost time to make some history in the show. Some very big changes that just have to be made for the betterment of all of society, Tony. And we're going to do that right after this break. All right, we're back from break, and the big news out of ESPN this week, Molly Qerim, the longtime co-host of First Take, well, she announced she's leaving the show. Now, some people inside the business say this could be because ESPN didn't want to meet her salary demands, whatever. That's besides the point. This whole story got us thinking, Tony, didn't it? As perfect
100%.
as this show has been for, 25 years, we do have to, adapt and change with the times.
Yeah, you have
and we've
to.
done that. We're always on the forefront,
Of course.
considered television pioneers and radio pioneers and also
100%.
podcast pioneers.
Yup.
But, we got to consider, Tony, that like most sports shows out there, maybe it is time we add a female co-host, someone who could set up the stories, add some flavor,
That's
all
right.
maybe a little sex appeal too,
Yeah, well, not like we don't bring some sex appeal.
Well,
of
that's
course.
true. I mean, I meant for the men, the straight men,
And don't forget the lesbians too.
Yeah, of course,
Of course.
we love our huge lesbian audience.
Yeah, we do.
But anyway, that's why right now we're going to hold auditions for our new female co-host.
Yup.
But, of course, we're businessmen, right, Tony, first and foremost. And we
always.
don't want to run into a situation like ESPN did with Molly Qerim,
No.
asking for more money
No.
and creating more headaches on the set.
No.
So that's why what we're going to do, smart, is
Yup.
we're going to use the latest in AI technology.
So smart.
To give us a new female co-host. Isn't that right, Tony?
Yup. Welcome to the future.
Yup, exactly. Anyway, right now we're going to start our auditions, and you can vote. You're going to vote on who becomes our new permanent co-host on the show.
Yup.
So here's how this worked. What we did is we had our producer back then, Nerd, generate
loser.
some AI content based on the scripts we wrote. So, producer, what do you have? Explain to me what we're about to see here.
It's a short clip of something you asked them to read, and you're going to pick your favorite.
Wow. And this guy works in the TV business.
Is he AI? Are you AI? Are you a robot?
Are you a robot?
No, not a robot.
Exactly what a robot would say.
Yeah.
Okay, so right now you're going to play a clip. That's what's going to happen here?
Yes, the first one is Ivy.
What do you mean? You gave her a name? What?
Yeah,
That's
you named her?
It's a computer.
Pervert.
That's the name is in the computer. It's in the program.
No, blame it on someone
Whatever,
else. Okay,
of
all right,
course.
Ivy.
All right, just
okay,
hit
let's
play.
go ahead and take a look. Here's our first contestant here, Ivy.
This week, the 2-0 Eagles host the Rams. What are your thoughts on this one?
Very knowledgeable, Tony. Yeah, but she clearly knew the matchups.
very
And
informed.
number two, I'm not surprised. She was a beautiful Asian woman. I'm not
Yeah.
surprised she was created by our producer. I can now see what he's doing in his spare time over there.
Made her with a nice figure.
Of course, he's an expert at this. He can't get a woman in real life, so he has to build one.
Yeah, you get a good job with this one.
I like how she's got that bare midriff there. That's good.
No, that's how she comes in the program. I didn't build her.
Sure you didn't. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, anyway, but you did make a mistake back there.
Yeah.
I think, it was a 49ers background. She's talking about the Eagles,
big
Rams.
mistake there.
So, of course, you'd screw up the sports part. Anyway, all right. So
But
there's our first contestant.
so
That
far,
was
so
Ivy.
good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, producer. Who do you have for your
Perv
second
J.
one there?
The next one is Beck.
All right, Beck.
Okay.
Let's take a look at
Let's
Beck.
see.
The Cowboys just signed Jadaveon Clowney. What are your thoughts on this one?
The computer may have had a little bit of a malfunction on her.
Yeah, it might have short-circuited.
Not
not
what
the best.
was going on with her hair, Tony? It kind of looked like a bad wig.
Yeah, there's too much teeth, too.
Yeah,
Way
a lot
too
of
many
teeth.
teeth.
A lot of
Yeah.
teeth. And also didn't even know how to pronounce Jadaveon Clowney. So she'd have to be dismissed based on that. Just
based
dismissed,
on that,
just based
disqualified.
on the not knowing sports, not looking like a freak, right? We'll ignore that. But
I will say below the neck, not bad. but
the computer got it right there.
got it
but,
right there. But above, you got to have it together.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah,
I'm
so-
assuming that's not the one that producer spends his Saturday nights with. It was the first one.
Exactly. Yeah.
Maybe he's both. Who knows what he's into?
Who knows what he's
okay,
into?
producer, right there. Our first two. We had Ivy and Beck. Okay, who's up for number
Who's
three?
next?
Third is Taylor.
Oh, all right. Very popular name. Very current.
Taylor.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Let's take a look. This is our third contestant, Taylor.
The Chiefs have started 0-2 and Patrick Mahomes is struggling. What are your thoughts on this one?
Wow.
What talent. And I mean that in a sports television type
I'm in
of way,
awe
of course.
right now.
It's not because she's the most strikingly beautiful woman
I've ever seen in my life. No.
Yeah, but no.
Just intelligent.
So intelligent.
Pops
There's
off
so
the
much
screen.
knowledge.
I like her a lot.
Ooh.
I'd like to bring her in for an in-person interview.
Tony, you do realize that's just the video.
Yeah, I
Okay.
understand. I used to watch, Christy Canyon on video, and I went to a convention to meet her in person, and I want to meet this one
Tony,
in person.
You see that they're just all video. They're not. They don't. There's no real Taylor in real life. She's just
What happened
looks
to
like
her?
a person.
Where'd she go? What happened?
No, she's not. She was never real. Never. She's not even based on the real person. That's a computer creating her.
So
they did a
she's-
terrific job.
She's like The Simpsons?
I mean, sure. Just a hot version of The Simpsons. Sure.
Well, that's very disappointing, but also she's still very inspiring.
Yes,
my
in her
drift.
sports knowledge, right?
Yes,
That she
in
had
her
that
knowledge.
sports knowledge.
She's still
and
so
also the look
smart.
still. Anyway,
Yes.
look. All right, you've seen our three contestants, Ivy, Beck, and Taylor. It's now your turn to
Yup.
vote.
You
For whoever
vote.
you
You.
want to be our female co-host. Of course, you should choose number 3.
Yup.
Definitely not number 2.
Definitely not number 2. 1 or 3.
Put your comment with your vote. Your comment right
Yup.
now
Go
in the
comment.
YouTube comment section, okay?
Yup.
And fight those robots. Not the ones that you
Exactly.
just watched in the video,
Yeah.
but the other ones. All right, well, there you go. That ends our contest. And well, that
Perfect.
ends our show, Tony,
Terrific.
because-
Great job.
Exactly. Much
Yeah.
better than the last one.
Way
And,
better.
Don't forget you. Oh, wait, what?
Oh,
Wait.
here he comes.
What?
What do you want?
Corrections.
What? Just go.
Go.
Corrections.
Yeah, we heard you. Go.
Yeah, go.
You called the ex-Cowboys player Moose Johnson?
Yeah, that's his nickname.
Yeah, his real name is Daryl, bro.
No,
Yeah.
no, that's not what I'm pointing out. His last name is Johnston, not Johnson.
Oh, I see. As in, I'm going to drop a ton of bricks on your car.
Oh, as in, you don't have a tiny Johnston, you have a micro Johnson. Oh, yeah.
Great
Now
one,
shut up.
Tony.
Yeah, be
Wait.
quiet. What?
You
Go.
said Jim McMahon is the second best Vikings quarterback of all time behind Brett Favre?
Super Bowl winner, bro.
That's all that matters, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when you're ranking a team's best QBs, you can't count the Super Bowls they won with other teams. That's not how it works.
Oh, well, you know what you can count? The seconds you have left to live.
Yeah. I'll show you something that works. My Uzi. Oh, you're
Great
done.
one,
No.
Tony.
You know, guys.
What?
Frankly, with all that's been going on in the country right now, I think you should not be saying the things you're saying to me, even in jest. It's just not appropriate right now.
You know, you do make a valid point. In fact, I have to say, I do feel like Tony and I might owe you maybe an apology for the way we've been speaking to you. Isn't that right, Tony?
You know, I feel you do deserve an apology from God for giving you a micro penis. Oh, you're done.
There you go. Oh, and you know what God just gave us, Tony?
What's
a
that?
great guest for next week. Just booked Super Bowl hero, Eagles legend Nick Foles will
Wow,
be here. Hey, don't
fantastic
forget,
news.
you rate and review on Apple Podcasts.
rate
You
and
like,
review.
you subscribe, you vote
Yup.
for your favorite female co-host
go
in the
vote.
comments. You
Yup.
visit our sponsor, Fresh Clean Threads.
Yeah.
And Tony, great job as always.
Same to you, Paulie. Another flawless show.
There you go. We'll see you people next week.
See ya.